غرباء 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 غرباء.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن نبينا محمدا عبد الله ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن سار على نهجه واقتفى أثره واستنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين. ثم أما بعد، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أهلا وسهلا ومرحبا. Welcome أيها الإخوة to our class. I hope inshallah that it will be a beneficial class for me and for you all. It's very important to have your pen with you, pencil and a notebook to write the information on. Everybody has a notebook inshallah, pen. Not all of you. I remind the brothers أيها الإخوة of the statement of Imam al-Sha'bi rahimahullah. He said, إذا سمعت شيئا فاكتبه ولو في الحائط. The Salaf rahimahumullah, like Imam al-Sha'bi, a great scholar of the past, he's one of the narrators of Sahih al-Bukhari. He said, if you hear something, then write it down. Even if it's on the wall, he said, rahimahullah. We're talking about when you hear something beneficial. Like what? Like ayah of the Quran, tafsir of the Quran, like a hadith of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So the Salaf rahimahumullah, they used to come with the pen, they used to come with paper. We see that the great scholar of the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, Abdullah ibn Abbas, used to teach his student Mujahid, used to teach him the tafsir of the Quran. And Mujahid rahimahullah, who was a tabi'i, when there was no paper anymore, he took his shoes off and started writing on his shoes. Because, أيها الإخوة, the one that writes is not like the one that just listens. The one that writes is not like the one that listens. Yani, if we go out of the class after a bit, and I asked those who didn't write, where was the class about? Do you think that they will give the same answer as those who have wrote? No. And also, we find that one of the scholars of the past, everybody maybe heard his name, the great scholar Abdullah ibn al-Mubarak, was one of the greatest scholars that Islam have known. His life was like this: 1 year Hajj, 1 year Jihad, 1 year Hajj, 1 year Jihad. That was his life, rahimahullah ta'ala. So Abu Salih al-Farra, he said, سألت ibn al-Mubarak, I asked Abdullah ibn al-Mubarak عن كتابة العلم, if it's okay if we write down the knowledge. And he said, لولا الكتاب ما حفظنا. If it wasn't that we wrote the hadith, we would not memorize it. So it's a very important part of the memorization. We find the great Imam of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, and that is Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal. We find him and his friend Yahya ibn Ma'in. They both said that كل من لا يكتب العلم لا يؤمن عليه الغلط. That everybody that doesn't write the knowledge, you cannot be sure that he is mistakeless. Yani they are warning us against taking knowledge from a person that doesn't write, because it might be correct, but it might be not correct. But does that mean that you have to write everything? MashaAllah, sometimes you come to the lecture here in this masjid or in other masjid, you see, MashaAllah, brother, from the beginning of the lecture until the end, he's just writing down everything. Is that good? Or is haram? What? Who said it's good, MashaAllah?
It's good, but you have to absorb the information as well. It's not quite just being like a recorder.
MashaAllah. You're close.
Better than the one who doesn't write anything. But if you write so many through, then you might not concentrate on the...
نعم. تفضل.
If he's writing something, he might miss something else out.
طيب. Okay. The answer is in the statement of one of the Salaf. When I say Salaf, I'm referring to who? The first three generations. Like the Messenger ﷺ when he said, the best generation is my generation, and then those after them, and then those after them. Sahih Bukhari, the three generations. There's the generation of the Messenger ﷺ, his companions, their children, at-tabi'een, atba' tabi'een, their children. So there are the three blessed generations. That's what I'm talking about today. We find the answer of my question in the statement of Sulaiman ibn Musa, rahimahullah ta'ala, one of the Salaf. He said, three types of people are sitting with the scholar. Three types of people are sitting with the scholar. The one that writes everything he hears. Okay? The one that writes everything that he hears. فَذَلِكَ كَحَاطِبِ اللَّيْلِ فَذَلِكَ كَحَاطِبِ اللَّيْلِ. Who knows what حاطب الليل is? Layl is night, صحيح. حاطب الليل, he is the one that goes to the forest to get wood, to sell it in the market. It's a job, you know. It's mentioned in the hadith, the Messenger ﷺ, he said, it's better for one of you to get an axe and go to the forest and put wood on his back and sell it than ask people. It's hadith, authentic hadith. So it was a very known job in the past. People used to go to search for wood and then sell it. So, but the one that writes everything, he's like the one who goes in the night to the forest where there is no light, and he wants to take wood, and maybe he catches with his hand a cobra snake that bites his hand because he doesn't see. He put wood in the bag, plastic, maybe a scorpion. So the Arabs, when they say Hatibul Layl, is somebody who's mixing everything. Wood, they give it like an example. So the one that writes everything, Sahih, he writes benefits from the Shaykh, but he writes also the mistakes from the Shaykh. He writes the things down that are not beneficial, maybe not for his life, not for the hereafter. So this is the first one. The second one, he rahimahullah said, is رَجُلٌ لَا يَحْفَظُ شَيْئًا وَهُوَ جَلِيسُ الْعَالِمِ. It's the one he comes, no pen, no paper, he just sit down, looks, hears, and goes away. He's the companion of the scholar. He's the companion of the scholar. And I don't think he comes for amusement, but he's not somebody you might think he become an imam or a khatib or a scholar. He's just a general Muslim. He comes, sometimes you might see in this masjid, a person, he comes, sits in the back, listens, and goes away. Not somebody who really maybe, wants to become a scholar but that doesn't mean that they are doing wrong. Alhamdulillah, even if he's not a student of knowledge, alhamdulillah, he's better than the ones who are walking outside or go to the market. Alhamdulillah, he's in a good situation. The Prophet ﷺ said that the angels are putting their wings over the gathering of knowledge. So alhamdulillah, he's in a big ni'mat. And the third one, أيها الإخوة, the third one, وَرَجُلٌ يَنْتَقِي وَهُوَ خَيْرُهُمْ. وَرَجُلٌ يَنْتَقِي وَهُوَ خَيْرُهُمْ. And a man, the third one is the man, يَنْتَقِي. He chooses from the statements of the scholar. وَهُوَ خَيْرُهُمْ, and he's the best from this three. The one that chooses. He listens, this will benefit me. Bismillah, he writes. This is wrong what he said. I'm not going to write it because I have seen the dalil. Okay? I've seen that the proof is not with him in this. So you don't write it. So I want you to be like that. Not only here with me, but when you go to the real scholars, the shuyukh, when you go there, be like that. So after writing the information, okay, you wrote now the information. What's the next step? Revision, mashallah. Apply the knowledge. Sahih is both correct, but I want order, you know. What's the first thing you do after writing the...
Read it back, you review it, summarize it, then you revise it, and then you implement it.
Put it to action.
Put it into action.
Jamil. To be honest, I wanted to hear something. It's been called in Arabic, mu'aradatul kitab. That is step 2. What is mu'aradatul kitab?
Checking the notes.
Going back to the origin, what you have heard and learned.
You're close. Mu'aradatul kitab is step 2. Very, very important. Mu'aradatul kitab. Mu'aradatul kitab, and that's what we're going to explain now, inshallah. Mu'aradatul kitab, أيها الإخوة, is what the Salaf used to do after writing. That is going to the Shaykh that dictated the information to you. Whether it's the hadith with its chain, whether it's a fiqh class, whether it's a seerah class or tafsir class. So you go to the Shaykh, you say, Shaykh, is this and this what you said to me? If he says yes, then you can spread the information that he's the one that said it. Mu'aradatul kitab. Going to the Shaykh and read everything he dictated. You said this in the class. He might say, no, I didn't say that. Change that. Because you might make mistakes. And refer it back to the Shaykh that didn't say it. So Mu'aradatul kitab is step 2. Mu'aradatul al-kitab. And it's true, أيها الإخوة, that some of the scholars, especially the great scholars, the senior scholars, some of them, they don't have time for 100 students or more to come, and everybody wants to say what the Shaykh said. So what are you going to do then? If the Shaykh has not the time to listen to all of you, what he dictated upon you, what is the solution? MashaAllah. Who has something else?
Go to another shaykh.
What you do? No, you cannot go to other Shaykh because he's the one that dictated, and you want to be sure before you spread that he was the one that said it, or before you're going to refer back to him, you have to be sure that you heard it properly.
Ask your students.
Naam. You go to the best student of the class. You go to the best student of the class, you say, Akhi, can I have 10 minutes of your time? So he is giving you what you missed. You are giving him, even he might be the best student, but even he might have missed some information. So you give him and he gives you. And the scholars of Islam, rahimahumullah, were very strict in this issue of mu'aradatul kitab. We have Yahya ibn Abi Kathir, one of the scholars of the past. He said, الذي يكتب ولا يعارض مثل الذي يدخل الخلاء ولا يستنجي. Yahya ibn Abi Kathir, he says that the one who writes down and doesn't do the mu'arada, it's like the one that goes to the bathroom, but he doesn't do the istinja. He doesn't clean himself with water after it. So it's very, very important. Because you find mistakes. you find mistakes. We found that Imam al-Shafi'i rahimahullah, what is the most famous book of Imam al-Shafi'i? Al-Risala, barakallahu fiqh, Al-Risala. When he wrote Al-Risala rahimahullah, Imam al-Shafi'i, his student, he dictated his book to his student, Al-Imam al-Muzani, was a very close student to Imam al-Shafi'i. So imagine, أيها الإخوة, al-Muzani, he read the book upon his own sheikh, after the sheikh dictated his book, 80 times. We're talking about a very big book. But every single time they found new mistakes. The 50th time, the 60th time, every time they found a new mistakes. And at the end, Imam Shafi'i, he said, أبى الله أن يكون كتاب صحيحا غير كتابه. He said at the end, the 80th time, when they found a new mistake every time, Imam al-Shafi'i rahimahullah said, Allah refused that a book will be free of mistakes except for his own book. يعني خلاص. Every time we find a new mistake. So you see how important it is to do the mu'arada. Okay, brothers? After the mu'arada, you go home. What do? You put your notebook beneath the bed and you leave it there for a year? Or what do? What's the next step, أيها الإخوة? Memorize? MashaAllah. Sahih. Memorizing. Because you cannot revise only after the memorization. After you memorize something like Quran, then you start to revise it. So the next step, أيها الإخوة, is to memorize. And what it's called in Arabic? Al-Hifd. Al-Hifd. To memorize. So it's very, very important, أيها الإخوة, to memorize. If we talk about memorization, then you have to memorize, okay, exactly like you heard it, especially when it comes to Al-Quran and the Hadith. Because the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he told us, the Hadith is in Bukhari or Muslim, Wallahu a'lam, نضر الله امرأ سمع مقالتي فأداها كما سمع. The Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he made dua for us. May Allah beautify the face of that person that hears my statement, the Hadith, and then preaches it or spread it exactly like he heard. Subhanallah, dua. May Allah beautify the face of the person that hears my statement and give it to the people exactly like he heard. Especially when it comes to Quran and Hadith. So you have to memorize it exactly. Even when the Messenger ﷺ taught one of the companions a dhikr, and then this companion wanted to revise this with the Messenger ﷺ, and he said, وَنَبِيُّكَ الَّذِي أَرْسَلْتَ. The Prophet said, no, وَرَسُولُكَ الَّذِي أَرْسَلْتَ. The companion said, the Prophet ﷺ, no, the messenger. I told you the messenger, not the Prophet. Even if it's the same person, because Muhammad ﷺ is a messenger and he's a prophet. But to be strict in the way you memorize. And the big reward that Allah will beautify our faces if we memorize the hadith exactly like we hear. But are we allowed to give the hadith in meaning? Yes. We're not talking about Quran. Quran, it has to be exactly Don't miss no letter, even no haraka, fatha, kasra, dhamma, you're not allowed. Quran has to be exactly. But the hadith, yani you heard the hadith in Khutbah al-Jumu'ah, very beautiful hadith, and you wanted to give it, say it to one of your friends. Can you give it in meaning?
As long as it doesn't change the original meaning of the hadith.
MashaAllah, this is the condition. As long as the meaning doesn't change. Yani the Prophet ﷺ, he praised a person. You go and you say, the Prophet ﷺ cursed a person. Yani you're changing now. You understand me? So as long as the meaning is one, ayyuha al-ikhwa, as long as the meaning is one, then there is a difference of opinion between the scholars in this. Some of the scholars, they were of the opinion that it's not allowed to give the hadith in its meaning. But some, they were of the meaning that you can give the hadith in its meaning. So we find three great scholars of the Islam, and they were of the opinion that it's not allowed to give the hadith in meaning. Okay, from them is Ibn Sirin, and Al-Qasim and Raja. These three scholars, they were of opinion that you have to give the hadith just like the ayah of the Quran. But there are other scholars of Islam, like Al-Hasan al-Basri, with Imam al-Sha'bi, with Ibrahim al-Nakha'i, great scholars also. They were of the opinion that it's allowed to give the hadith by meaning. But what is the correct opinion? To give the hadith by meaning. To give the hadith by meaning. We find that one of the companions, his name is Wathila radiallahu anhu. Somebody heard about him, Wathila radiallahu anhu. We heard that the Tabi'i Makhul came to him. Okay, Makhul and Abu al-Azhar, two of the Tabi'in, they came to Wathila radiallahu anhu. And they said to him, can you give us a hadith that you heard from the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam? But we want you not to add a letter and not to remove a letter. Like I told, exactly. So what did this companion radiallahu anhu, he said? He said, did any of you read the Quran last night? They said yes. You know, the Salaf, they used to read Quran in the night. Not like some of us, yani. They used to, mashallah, read Quran in the night. They said yes, normal. It was normal to read Quran in the night. Yes, we read. But they said, sometimes, you know, we add accidentally a letter, you know, the ayah, or we miss a letter, we miss haraka, fatha, kasra, dhamma. So Wathila radiallahu anhu, he said, this is the Quran between your hands. And everywhere Quran, in the bookshelves, in the masjid. And you are saying yourself, you're admitting that you sometimes miss. How do you want from me to tell you hadith without missing a letter? Well, I haven't heard it from the Messenger only one time. Yani the Quran is here next to you, and you are making mistakes. How do you want to tell me, don't make a mistake, and we only heard it one time from the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam? You understand me? Yani only one time he heard it. And maybe it was in a situation of war, when the swords were clashing, and you heard the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying in the battlefield, and you want him to say it with the letter? And you are asking something what is not possible in many times. And then at the end of this statement, Wathila radiallahu anhu, this great companion, he said, حسبكم إذا حدثتكم بالحديث على المعنى. He said, it's enough for you if I give you the hadith by meaning. Okay? It's enough for you if I give you the hadith by meaning. So memorization, أيها الإخوة, is very important. What is the first thing you start with? Because يعني, a person comes to us, he say, I want to do the shahada, I want to become Muslim, I want to be a student of knowledge. And the memorization is very important because the Salaf used to say that memorization is very important. Is memorization important or not? يعني, if your knowledge is only in the books, if your knowledge is only in the notebooks, يعني, you go, mashallah, to the train station. A person asks you a question. You say, come with me to my library? No. Something happens to you. Something happens to you. You're on travel, something happens to you. And you have to act upon knowledge. Because if you do it wrong, you might be sinning. So knowledge is where? In the books. Where is the knowledge, أيها الإخوة? Yes, the knowledge is in the heart. The knowledge is in the heart and not in the books. That's why you find Imam Abdul Razzaq ibn Hammam, he said, كل علم لا يدخل مع صاحبه الحمام فلا تعده علما. Any knowledge that you don't take with you in the bathroom is not knowledge. What does he mean by that? And you have it always with you, even if you go to the bathroom, because it's in your heart. We find the Salaf, rahimahumullah, they were very, very strong in their memorization. It happened to one of the scholars, Abu Asim, Ibn Abi Asim, rahimahullah. Ibn Abi Asim, he has a book, Kitab al-Sunnah, very important book about the Aqidah of Ahl al-Sunnah. A person came to him and he said, and he came with bad news. He said, you see your books are lost. Gone. Your library is gone. Was that a problem for this Imam? He wrote down from his own memorization 50,000 hadiths that were in the books. Yani no problem. And if you memorize this lesson of today, okay? And tomorrow, your father said, I throw your paper in the bin by accident. You don't worry, because you already memorized it. But if you haven't memorized it, like happened to Ibn Lahi'a. You know Ibn Lahi'a? He's one of the narrators of Sunan al-Tirmidhi. قدر الله ما شاء فعل. He was trialed. His library was burned down. His library was burned down. But Ibn Lahi'a, he used to narrate from the books, not from the memorization. So the scholars of Islam, they refuted his hadith. After this day, after the day that his library burned down, go back to Tirmidhi. The scholars are not accepting his hadith. Why? He didn't used to memorize. He used to narrate the hadith from his books. So you find that he is a weak narrator after the day that his library burnt down. So it's a big musibah, subhanallah. So it's very important to write down. We find scholars of Islam like Al-Khalil ibn Ahmad rahimahullah. He said, ما سمعت شيئا إلا كتبته وما كتبت شيئا إلا حفظته ولا حفظت شيئا ولا حفظته إلا نفعني. Inshallah, at the end of the class, if any of you want the references of the statements I say, you can take them, inshallah, it's no problem. Al-Imam Khalil ibn Ahmad rahimahullah said, I haven't heard something, only that I wrote it down. And I haven't wrote it down except that I memorized it. And I haven't memorized it except that I had benefit from it. So what are the 3 steps he mentioned? in this statement, number one is listening, writing, and memorizing, and benefit. طيب, what's the first thing you start? Yani we talk about memorization. What's the first thing you start with? Yani to memorize what? What's the first thing? You want to be a scholar, inshallah. You want to be, what's Quran? Who says Quran? Something else? No, the first thing, the most important. We find that Imam al-Maymuni rahimahullah, he came to his Shaykh, Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal. He said, "Oh, Abu Abdullah," that's the kunya of Imam Ahmad rahimahullah. He said, "What do you prefer for my child? That I start with him, yani with hifd of Quran, or with al-Hadith?" And Imam Ahmad rahimahullah said, قال لا بالقرآن. No, you start with the Quran. You start with the Quran. Imam al-Maymuni, he goes, أعلمه كله. Should I teach him يعني the whole Quran? He said, إلا أن يعصر فتعلمه منه. Only when it's very difficult, then you teach him a part of the Quran. Okay? We find the statement of the scholar Abdullah ibn al-Mubarak rahimahullah. A man came to him. He said, "O Abu Abdul Rahman, في أي شيء أجعل فضل يومي?" In which should I do my spare time? In the memorization of Quran, in the Quran, or the other knowledge, like what? Aqidah, yani Tawheed, fiqh, and so forth and so on. Abdullah ibn Mubarak, rahimahullah, he said to him, "Do you know of the Quran what is sufficient to establish your prayer?" And how many surahs? To pray, how many surahs? Al-Fatiha and any other surah. He said, "Yes, I have enough Quran to do my prayer." He said, "Then keep yourself busy with the other knowledge." So do we see some contradiction here? Do we see some contradiction here? Who says no, who says yes? Between the statement of Imam Ahmad, who advised to memorize the Quran, and Abdullah ibn Mubarak, who is advising to focus on the other knowledge beside the Quran. Is there contradiction? It sounds like. Akhi, when we look good to the both statements, and one of the scholars of the past, Ibn Muflih, who has the book Al-Adab al-Shar'iyya, one of the scholars of the past, when he looked to the statements, he said there is no contradiction. Because the one that asked Imam Ahmad asked about his child, a young child, where to start with. Whether Abdullah ibn Mubarak, the one that asked him, was an adult. So, أيها الإخوة, when we have a child, then there is no better to start with than the Quran. A child. Because a child, mashallah, first of all, his memorization is very strong. His memorization is very strong. And it's not wajib, fard, it's not compulsory for him now to know about the Hajj. A child of 6 years old, 7 years old. It's not important for him now to know how much zakat to give every year and when. Isn't it? So, like the scholar said, يعني الحفظ في الصغر كالنقش في الحجر. How do you say that? الحفظ في الصغر. The scholars of Islam, many scholars of the past, they say memorization when you are a child, when you are small, young, is just like you are, I think, tickle something on the rock. Chiseling, yes, barakallahu fiqh. Chiseling something on the rock. And if you put your name on the rock, chiseling, you think it goes away after 100 years? It stays. It's just like when you memorize when you are a child. It stays like that. Allahumma barik. We memorize something today, and in the evening maybe, but subhanAllah, children, Allahumma barik. That's why they learn 3-4 languages without problem when they're young. So, for him it's better to start with Al-Quran. But an adult, and you have a brother 18 years old, he comes, he says, I want to practice, I want to become Muslim, I want to start learning. Somebody becomes a Muslim, 18 years old, he say, I want to learn the Islam. Are you going to say, go and learn the Quran 2 years and then I learn you how to pray? Then I teach you how to pray? No. He has to know now how to pray, because Al-Asr is after half hour. When you become Muslim, the first coming prayer is wajib, compulsory upon you. So he has to learn quickly how to do the wudu. He has to know at-tawheed. Tawheed. Where is Allah? The names, attributes, shirk, the danger of shirk. Okay, brothers? So there are things that go, that are more important than the memorization of the whole Quran. Because we find the ittifaq, like a consensus. Imam Ibn Hazm, rahimahullah, you all heard Ibn Hazm. He has a book that Maratib al-Ijma'. He's talking about the consensus of the scholars. And like you all know, if the scholars of Islam, they have a consensus, it's a proof. Ijma'. So he said that the scholars of Islam, they have ittifaq, okay, that it's only wajib, compulsory to learn Surah Al-Fatiha and a second surah. They differed in opinion which second surah it has to be. يعني قل هو الله أحد الناس, but they say Al-Fatiha and a second surah. That is يعني fard, يعني wajib, compulsory for every one of us to know. Brothers, I'm not trying to bring down the importance of learning Quran. No, Ya Akhi Karim. The person of the Quran, he goes for us. He goes in front of us. In the dunya, if he dies, and in the hereafter. In the dunya, he will lead the prayer. In the dunya, he go in front of us. The Messenger says, "Inna min ijlalillahi," and from the respect towards Allah, it's ijlal hamil Quran, to respect the one that memorized the Quran. We have to respect him, even if he's a child. So he goes for us in prayer. When he dies, he goes for us. The Messenger ﷺ, when the Sahaba, radiallahu anhum, the companions, the Shuhada, when they died in the battlefield of Uhud, when the Sahaba died in the battlefield of Uhud, the Messenger ﷺ used to put every two Sahaba in one grave. 2 in one grave. And he used to ask ﷺ, who of them has more Quran? When they would point to that, he goes first in the grave. The one with the most Quran. Because of the respect of the people of the Quran. He goes first. Then the other who has lesser. And also in the Akhirat. We found the Messenger ﷺ said that your place in the Jannah will be at the last ayah you stopped. So subhanallah, sahih, to become a scholar, Quran is the most important to learn. But we're not talking about what is wajib, what is not wajib from the Quran, what is just recommended, okay? So learning the whole Quran is recommended and not wajib. While we as adults, we have to know some issues outside the Quran, what are wajib. We as Muslims, we have to know at-tawheed, we have to know how to pray. Ramadan is coming soon. What are the things that are nullifying your fasting? Not only that, we have to know what are the things that are haram. What is haram? Riba, usury, adultery, looking to haram. There are many things we have to know. You understand me, brothers? So when a new Muslim comes, you focus on that more. After learning him the two surahs of, of the Quran. Okay, brothers? Anyone has a question about this?
Is it from the etiquettes of the student of knowledge to sit down like this, or can we just sit down on the chair, table?
طيب. أيها الإخوة, about the etiquettes of the student of knowledge, there are some scholars who, as brothers asking about sitting, in which way to sit. There are some of the scholars who said that the best way to sit is with your feet like this, or with your in knees, tashahhud position. Because in Sahih Muslim, Jibril, when he came to the Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Sahih Muslim, the great hadith, the long hadith, how did he sit? He put his knees to the knees of the Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He put his knees to the knees of the Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. But there are scholars who are like, they say, it's not a big issue. We find also one of the scholars of the past, he was asked, can you write for us a book about the etiquettes and the manners of the Islamic judge, the Qadi, Islamic judge? A book about that. So he became angry. And then he said, does the Islamic judge has other etiquettes than the normal Muslim? Why should we write a book especially about the etiquettes of the judge? We have one etiquette, that's the etiquettes of Islam. So he said then that if the Qadi, the judge, is judging with Kitab and Sunnah in a proper way, then he said, I don't mind him to put his feet, stretch his feet. You understand where I want to go to? Also, there is a statement of Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, and I don't know the authenticity of this statement, that he was teaching his students, and he was stretching his feet, stretching them. So a man came inside. So when Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, when he saw this man, he quickly put his feet back, and he started sitting like. So students were looking, and they looked and they saw the man with big beard, mashallah, at the door of the. So this man, he then asked Abu Hanifa question, question of a 4-year-old boy, like stupid question. Then Abu Hanifa, he said, when I saw you, mashallah, with beard and everything, I thought you memorized 40,000 hadith. So then he put his feet again, he stretched it again. When he saw this question from this person, then he stretched his feet again. So Allahu A'lam, I think, especially the brothers who have pain in the back, a lot of the brothers, they are new in practicing Islam, so they are not used. They didn't went to the Islamic madrasas before. So after sitting like that 10 minutes, they get pain in their, in their legs. So I think we have to understand them, mashallah, you can see who have studied in madrasa most of the times. Not always, but the way they sit. You understand me, brothers?
What order?
How do you seek knowledge?
You said first read the Quran, and then can you give us a list of the orders? So tafsir or hadith.
First of all, أيها الإخوة, when you seek knowledge, you're going to, first of all, what you do is al-istikhara. You ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if this teacher is good for you or not. Because you have to look for a teacher who's on the sunnah. Imam Malik and other scholars of Islam, they say, إِنَّ هَذَا الْعِلْمَ دِينَ فَانْظُرُوا عَمَّنْ تأخذوا دينكم. Verily, this knowledge is deen. Be careful. The knowledge you're going to take is a part of your religion. So be aware from who you take your knowledge from. Be aware from who you take your knowledge from. You don't take your knowledge from everybody. The scholars, they say, if you see water on the street, you're going to drink it, water on the ground? No, you want clean water. So how about your religion? You don't want to crystal clear religion? Are you going to take your religion for anybody? Very important. After choosing your teacher, who's on the sunnah, and the best teacher is the one that has more knowledge. The Messenger ﷺ said, "Inna al-barakata ma'akabirikum." The Prophet ﷺ said, verily, the blessing, the barakah, is with your elders. Is who? With your elders. So, after that, ayyuha ikhwa, you come to the classes of knowledge, and you come in a way that the student of knowledge has to come with. Imam al-Nawawi rahimahullah, he mentioned that it's from, he mentioned it in Sahih, his Sharh, his explanation of Sahih Muslim. He said it's recommended for the student of knowledge when he comes to the class to come in the best way. He has to be clean. He has to take all the hair away that the Islam orders him to take away. Okay? He has to come with his nails being clipped. And he has to take away all those smells that are bad smells. And he has to come with his best clothes. And when you come as a student, then be aware, أيها الإخوة, of al-hasad, envy. And envy, أيها الإخوة, like the scholars are mentioning, is two types. The envy against your student, between students, like having envy because your student, his understanding is better than yours. His memorization, he's memorizing his lessons and you not. So you can have al-hasad. But there is also envy against the teacher himself, like thinking that you have more knowledge than him, or that his beneficial, you are not in need of his knowledge. Okay? It's a disease. It's a disease. Or thinking you are more knowledgeable than him, and so forth and so on. And I remind you, أيها الإخوة, of the hadith that's mentioned in Sunan at-Tirmidhi. Shaykh al-Albani said it's Hasan, where the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam said that the disease of the people before you have been infiltrated into the Muslims. The disease of the people before us. Okay? The nations before us. And then he said that it's the hasad and the baghda. These two diseases. Al-hasad, what's envy, and al-baghda is hatred. And he said, Sasim, he al-haliqa. It's the disease that shaves you. Then he said, it doesn't shave your head, your hair, it shaves your religion. And it destroys your religion. Subhanallah. Envy. It can be between the students, or it can also be between the students and the sheikh. And when the sheikh is teaching you, أيها الإخوة, what do you have to do? When he gives you beneficial knowledge that helps you, bi'idnillah, in entering the paradise, what do? You do dua for the sheikh. You do dua for the sheikh. We find that Imam Ahmad rahimahullah, he said, there are 6 people, Imam Ahmad rahimahullah, he said there are 6 people where I do dua for. And one of them is Imam Shafi'i. Subhanallah. Imam Ahmad, he says about his sheikh, Imam Shafi'i, 6 people I do dua for. But when? At the last part of the night, brother. Not between Dhuhr, Asr, easy. No, in the last part of the night. He's doing dua for 6 of his teachers, and one of them is his Shaykh al-Imam al-Shafi'i. And Imam Ahmad rahimahullah, he said, هذا الذي ترونه أو عامته مني هو عن الشافعي. Imam Ahmad says, you see the knowledge that I have? All of it, or most of it, is from Imam Shafi'i. You know, you learn maybe from a teacher, sheikh. You're shy to say, you know, you don't want to say to people, this knowledge is from him. You say, no, it's from myself. I did research. I have books at home. MashaAllah, I came to this conclusion. But Imam Ahmad, he was humble. You see what I have? It's from him, Imam Shafi'i, rahimahullah. Who can be so humble to say that? You understand me, brothers? So if to do يعني الدعاء for the Shaykh, at least, Jazahullah khairan. And not the dua in his face, because that is easy. No, dua in his absence. You know, the Prophet ﷺ said that the Muslim that does dua in the absence of his brother, there will be an angel who will say, Ameen walaka bimithal. You know the hadith, authentic hadith. The Messenger ﷺ said, if you do dua to your brother, but with the condition in his absence, the angel will say, Ameen, and give him too. And you get also the same. You say, Allah give him Jannah, the Ameen says, the angel says, Ameen, and you too. Subhanallah. You find Yahya ibn Sa'id al-Qattan, one of the scholars of the past, he also said, أنا أدعو الله للشافعي حتى في صلاتي. I make dua for Imam Shafi'i even in my prayer. So it's very important, أيها الإخوة, to not to forget the fadl. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, وَلَا تَنْسَوْا الْفَضْلَ بَيْنَكُمْ. Don't forget the fadl, you know, al-fadl, the good things that the one does to another. Messenger sallallahu in other hadith, من صنع إليكم معروفا فكافئوه. Messenger sallallahu said, whoever have done something good to you, then give something back. Then give something back. At least jazakallahu khairan, dua, and so forth, and so on. So it's very important, أيها الإخوة, to know these key elements of seeking knowledge. And if we have a few minutes left, I want to talk about a very important aspect, and that has to do with inside the classroom or inside the gathering. We have a few minutes left, inshallah. And that is about asking the Shaykh, asking the Ustad. Imam Mujahid rahimahullah, who was a tabi'i and a student of Ibn Abbas, he said two people will not learn. Two kind of people will never learn. It's in Sahih Bukhari, brothers. The one that is shy to ask, shy. And the mustakbir. Who's the mustakbir, ayyul ikhwa? The arrogant person. The arrogant person. So this person also will never learn. تفضل. Mujahid. Mujahid, the student of Ibn Abbas. Mujahid is a tabi'i. Sahih Bukhari. الإمام الخطيب البغدادي رحمه الله, الإمام الخطيب البغدادي, he said in his book الجامع لأخلاق الراوي that when you ask the scholar, when you ask the ustad, you have to ask in a proper way. أو حافظ أو عالم, like, oh ustad. Don't say, oh Ahmed, I have a question here. يعني it's not from the adab, it's not from the etiquettes of, you say, oh ustad, oh sheikh. That's how you start with. Subhanallah, you find Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, he said, I have never been asked a question, only that I knew that this person, he has knowledge or he's an ignorant one. Just the way he asks. You know directly. When somebody, a scholar, when he's being asked, yani the way he approaches you with respect, or you know this person, he's ignorant or he has knowledge. Okay, brothers? Also a big problem today is people come to the sheikh, they ask a sheikh, what is the opinion? What's your opinion in this? Sheikh says this and this. Yeah, but the other Sheikh said that. Why do you come to me? You say he said. Why do you come to me? You understand me? It's really, su adab. It's a lack of manners. Yeah, but the other Sheikh said, okay, why do you come to me? Why you ask me then in the first place? So, when he gives you the verdict, the fatwa, you can take it if it's with proof, or you can leave it, but not like that. Okay, brothers? If you give fatwa, you say, Jazakallah khairan, may Allah reward you, and then you go away. Also, it is allowed in the Islam to ask a question you already know the answer about. It seems strange, but it's allowed to ask a question you already know the answer about. When? There is a sheikh here, and you know that he, they all have problems in Salat al-Fajr with going to the Masjid. So you want to address so they will hear from the sheikh. So Sheikh, what is your opinion about the one who sleeps until 11 o'clock in the morning? So they can learn. Because, the hadith, the proof in Sahih Muslim, the proof is where? Sahih Muslim, Jibril was asking, and he knew. Jibril was asking, what is Islam, what's Iman? Did Jibril knew or not? He knew. But why did he ask? For the companions to hear. For the companions to hear the information. Okay, brothers? So it's very important, ayyuha al-ikhwa, to ask. Because asking is a cure for the ignorance. You find the hadith in Sunan Abi Dawood. Shaykh al-Albani said, Hassan, when the Sahaba radiallahu anhu, they went for a trip, a journey. And one of the Sahaba, in a cold night, he had to do ghusl for the prayer, Fajr. He had to do ghusl. But he had a cut in his head. Okay? A big wound in his head. So he asked the Sahaba, can I do tayammum, with the sand? Or do I have to do ghusl in this cold? They say, no, you have to do ghusl. There is no reason you have to do ghusl. He did ghusl and died. His companion died, radiallahu anhu. So the Sahaba came back to Al-Madinah and they told the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam what happened in the journey. And he sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, qatalahumullah. They killed him. May Allah kill them. Look, subhanAllah, the dua of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They killed him. May Allah kill them. Could they not ask? Could they not ask if they didn't know? Because verily the cure of al-jahl, al-ay, the cure of ignorance is asking. We find Aisha radiallahu anha, Sahih Muslim, he says, Ni'ma nisa, nisa'ul ansar. What a great woman were the women of the Ansar. The shyness didn't prevent them from asking about the religion. Sahabi, as he comes to Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, do we women have to make also ghusl? They were not shy to ask about the religion. You understand me, brothers? So that is very important. Last thing I wanted to mention is when you ask, don't ask things that are not beneficial. People are asking things that haven't occurred yet. Imam Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhu, the great companion Abdullah ibn Umar, he said, Ayyuhan nas, O people, la tas'alu amma lam yakun. Don't ask about things that haven't occurred yet, that didn't happen yet. فَإِنَّ عُمَرَ كَانَ يَلْعَنُ مَنْ سَأَلَ عَمَّا لَمْ يَكُنْ. Because verily Umar ibn Khattab used to curse the ones that are asking things that haven't happened yet. And he comes, he say, Akhi, Shaykh, I know we have to pray to the Qibla. But how if we pray above the Kaaba? which direction we have to pray? Ya akhi, who says you are going to pray above the Kaaba? Yeah, if I go to Mars or Jupiter, I don't one of those places, which side I have to pray? Ya akhi, who says you are going there? So, Sahaba radiallahu anhum, they didn't used to answer those questions of things. You know, Ubay bin Ka'b radiallahu anhu, he was asked something that didn't happen. He said to him, he said to the questioner, when it happens, then come back. When it happens, then come back. And then we will solve it out, inshallah. So don't ask questions that are not beneficial. Also, أيها الإخوة, when you are giving an answer, know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is knowing what you say. If you don't know, be silent. Man samata naja. Who knows the hadith, man samata naja? It's a very important hadith mentioned by Imam al-Tirmidhi. Shaykh al-Albani said sahih. Prophet ﷺ said, whoever is silent is safe. Two words, man samata, three words. Man samata naja. Who's silent, he's safe, rescued. So when you move your lips, it's maybe 50-50. In the other hadith, the messenger's authentic hadith, he said that the shaykh, when he gives a wrong fatwa, the sin is upon him. The sin is, alhamdulillah. The sin is upon who? Upon the one who gave you the fatwa. So you have to be careful, ayyuhal ikhwa. One more thing I forgot, subhanallah, to mention. One more thing I forgot to mention is when when we talked about the hadith, mentioning a hadith by meaning. If you mention a hadith by meaning, what do you have to say? There is a special etiquette. Who knows? If you mention...
Allah A'lam. You say that's the nearest limit.
MashaAllah. I only know it in Arabic. I only know it in Arabic. أو كما قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Anas ibn Malik, when he used to say a hadith, he used to end by saying أو كما قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. So the etiquette is to say أو كما قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم at the end. Okay, brothers? The meaning is or similar to what he said. Yani it's not 100% or similar. أو كما قال. Because we're afraid to lie. The Messenger said, whoever lies against me intendingly, let him reserve his place in the hellfire. In other hadith, he said, lying against me is not like lying against any other normal person. So it's worse. So you have to be aware, ayyuhal ikhwa, of that. I will stop here inshallah. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk wa jazakumullahu khairan. Barakallahu fikum.
غرباء